Gentlemen, if you still have to lean against the bathroom wall just to finish peeing, or if your erections feel more like a memory than a moment, you are not alone. But you are also not stuck. What if I told you that tonight, before your head even hits the pillow, you could start reversing both problems naturally? My name is Dr. James. I'm a men's health specialist with over 30 years of clinical experience, and I've helped thousands of men, just like you, regain strength, control, and confidence in the most personal parts of their lives. Not with pills, not with surgery, but with smarter, simpler, science-backed habits that actually work. What's shocking is, the real reasons your bladder won't fully empty or why your erections fade midway have almost nothing to do with your age or testosterone. It comes down to 5 tiny nightly habits no one ever talks about, because most doctors never learn them. Tonight, I'll show you 5 things. Each one takes just a few minutes before bed that can drastically improve blood flow to your penis, calm your overactive pelvic muscles, reduce that embarrassing post-pee dribble, and help you wake up feeling proud of what's between your legs again. And the 5th one? That's the most powerful of all, and almost no man is doing it correctly. Stay with me for just a few minutes, and I'll walk you through exactly how to do each one safely in the comfort of your own home. No floor mats, no gym, no embarrassment. Before we get into tonight's 5 powerful habits, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon. That way you'll never miss another tip designed specifically for men over 60 who want to regain control of their health. And if you find this video helpful, type 1 in the comments below. If not, type 2. I read every comment and use your feedback to make these videos better for you. Alright, now that you know who I am, and more importantly why this matters, let's dive into the 5 things I want you to do tonight. These aren't gimmicks. These are simple, science-backed steps that thousands of my older patients have used to get real results. If you're tired of weak erections, late-night bathroom trips, or just feeling like your body isn't yours anymore, then lean in. We're starting right now with step 1. 1. Take 200-400 milliliters of magnesium glycinate 1 hour before bed. I'll never forget one of my longtime patients, Robert, a retired school principal in his early 70s. He came to me not because he was in pain, but because he felt like his body had slowly turned the volume down on being a man. "Doc," he said, "it's not like I'm chasing wild nights, but I miss feeling alive in my own skin." His main complaints were weak erections, random nighttime urination, and an uncomfortable dribble after using the bathroom that made him feel embarrassed. Robert wasn't dealing with any disease, no major hormone imbalances, yet his body was clearly out of sync. I asked him a few simple questions, and then we did a blood test. Just as I suspected, his magnesium levels were low. Very low. And here's the thing, most men over 60 are in the same boat and don't even know it. Magnesium is one of the most overlooked minerals when it comes to men's health. It plays a role in over 300 bodily functions, but the ones that matter most to us right now are muscle relaxation, nerve signaling, and vascular dilation. That means it directly affects the tightness of your pelvic muscles, the control of your bladder, and most importantly, the quality of blood flow to your penis. Without enough magnesium, your body stays in a state of low-level tension. Muscles tighten. Your nervous system stays stuck in a slightly on position. Your blood vessels narrow, and your body can't properly shift into rest, recovery, or repair, which are the very things required for a strong, lasting erection. Most men don't realize how much the pelvic floor depends on being able to relax. Yes, we talk a lot about strengthening it, but think about this. When a muscle is constantly tight, it becomes exhausted and weak. Magnesium glycinate helps reverse that tightness. It calms the nervous system, encourages full-body muscle relaxation, and lowers cortisol, the stress hormone that suppresses sexual function and interrupts your sleep. The glycinate form is especially powerful because it's highly bioavailable, meaning your body actually absorbs and uses it, unlike some cheaper versions like magnesium oxide or citrate, which can upset the stomach or simply pass through your system. I started Robert on a small nighttime dose, just 200 milliliters. of magnesium glycinate about an hour before bed. Within 2 weeks, his nighttime urination dropped from 3 trips to 1. By the end of the month, his morning erections had returned, and he said something that really stayed with me. It's not about performance. It's about feeling like I'm still in there, still capable, still me. That's the power of just one simple addition to your nighttime routine. If you're someone who struggles to fall asleep or wake up feeling rested, magnesium can also help you drift into deeper, more restorative sleep. And let me tell you, better sleep is not just a luxury at our age, it's essential. The body repairs blood vessels, balances hormones, and resets your nervous system during sleep. When that's disrupted, every part of male health suffers. So tonight, after dinner, about an hour before bed, take a capsule or 2 of magnesium glycinate with a small glass of water. Don't overthink it. This isn't about supplements fixing everything, it's about removing one major roadblock to blood flow, bladder control, and pelvic relaxation. You'll sleep deeper, wake up with more clarity, and little by little, your body will begin to shift back into balance. And here's where it gets interesting. Relaxing your muscles and getting deeper sleep is only step 1. But what if I told you there are movements you can do while lying in bed that help retrain the very muscles wrapped around your bladder and base of your penis? They don't require equipment and they take less than 10 minutes. Yet most men skip them entirely and pay the price in the bedroom and the bathroom. Let's talk about those next. If you're still with me and finding these steps useful, go ahead and type the number 1 in the comments so I know you're following along. Now let's keep the momentum going and dive into the second step. 2. Do these 3 in-bed stretches. Take 6 minutes total. I once had a patient named Frank, Vietnam veteran, father of 5, and the kind of guy who'd never complain about anything unless it really got to him. He sat in my office, leaned in a bit, and said, "Doc, I'm not the man I used to be. Not in the bedroom, not even in the bathroom. I'm dribbling after I pee, and I can't remember the last time I felt strong down there." We talked for a while. I listened on. Then I asked him a simple question. "Can you put your socks on standing up?" He laughed, said no, and asked what that had to do with his erections. The truth is, it has everything to do with it. See, most men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s gradually lose hip mobility without even realizing it. The muscles in the hips, groin, thighs, and pelvic floor get tight from years of sitting, driving, working at desks, or simply avoiding stretching because it feels like something other people do. But here's what no one tells you. That tightness? It's pulling on your pelvic floor like a rope under tension. That pelvic floor wraps around your bladder and your erection system. When it's tight, blood flow decreases. Nerve signals get scrambled, and your ability to fully release urine or hold a strong erection takes a serious hit. So what do we do about it? We loosen the tension. And we do it in a way that's gentle, comfortable, and designed specifically for older men. That's where the 3 in-bed stretches come in. Frank was skeptical at first. "You mean to tell me lying in bed and moving my legs is going to help my penis?" I smiled. Exactly that. And within a few weeks of doing these stretches, night after night, he started noticing less pressure when urinating, less dribble, and something he thought was gone for good. Those early morning stirrings of a real, firm erection. The first stretch I taught him was a simple groin opener. While lying on his back, I had him pull one knee up and let it fall gently to the side. Not yanking it, not forcing it, just letting gravity do the work. He held that position for 30 seconds, then switched sides. At first it felt awkward, but after a few nights he started to feel the tightness ease. That groin pull wasn't pain anymore, it was freedom. His hips started to open up, and that alone began changing how he felt in his lower body. Next, I had him try a slow movement we call stirring the pot. It's exactly what it sounds like, pulling both knees in, slowly moving them in wide circles. This movement doesn't just loosen your hips, it gently massages the nerves around your bladder and prostate. Frank told me he felt things moving down there that hadn't moved in a long time. That's a good sign. It means we're waking up the muscles that have gone quiet over the years. And finally, the Cobra stretch. I'll admit this one feels a bit strange at first, but it works wonders. You lie on your stomach, place your palms by your shoulders, and gently press your upper body up like a push-up, keeping your hips down. That stretch pulls deep into your lower abdomen and the base of your pelvis, right where your core meets the muscles that support erections. It's like wringing out a sponge that's been stiff and dry for years. It brings life back to tissues that desperately need it. What's beautiful about these 3 stretches is how simple they are. No floor mats, no getting down and up from the ground. Just you, your bed, and a few focused minutes before sleep. And as Frank said, after a month of doing them, I didn't know how tight I was until I wasn't. You don't need to be flexible. You don't need to be athletic. You just need to start. Every night you skip, you stay stuck. But every night you commit, you unlock another piece of yourself that's been buried under years of tension. And here's the thing. Once your hips and pelvic muscles start loosening up, your body becomes more responsive. Your bladder signals more clearly. Your erections respond more quickly. But there's one thing that can undo all that progress faster than anything else, and that's what you're doing during your bathroom trips. Most men make this mistake every single day without even realizing it. Let's fix that next. 3. Use the double void technique in the bathroom. A few years ago, a man named Walter came to see me. He was 68, a retired mechanic, and one of the most disciplined men I'd ever met. He showed up 10 minutes early to every appointment, had a notebook in hand, and took every piece of advice I gave seriously. But he came in that day, frustrated, even embarrassed. "Doc," he said, "I finish peeing, zip up, and 2 minutes later I feel a warm drop in my underwear. Sometimes I even have to carry a second pair just in case. What the hell is going on?" Now, Walter's situation isn't rare. In fact, it's one of the most common and overlooked issues men face as they get older. That little dribble after you think you're done? It's not just annoying, it's a signal. It's your body telling you that your bladder isn't fully emptying and your pelvic floor isn't relaxing the way it should. It might seem like a small thing, but over time it can lead to bigger problems, like urinary tract infections, sleep disturbances, and even feelings of shame or isolation. So I asked Walter a question I often ask my patients. "Have you ever tried double voiding?" He shook his head. He'd never heard of it. That didn't surprise me, most men haven't, but it's one of the simplest, most powerful tools you can use to improve bladder function and regain a sense of control. Here's what I explained to him. Double voiding means you urinate, pause, breathe, and then try again. After you think you're done, you take a slow breath in, relax your shoulders, relax your belly, and then gently try to go a second time. What often happens, and this is key, is that your body lets go of that last bit of urine sitting at the bottom of the bladder. It's not a failure of your system, it's just delayed muscle coordination. With age, the communication between your bladder, brain, and pelvic muscles can get sluggish. Double voiding gives them a chance to sync up again. Walter started doing it that very night. He told me he felt ridiculous standing at the toilet waiting for something to happen. But to his surprise, a few seconds later, he got a second stream, smaller but definitely real. And more importantly, the post-pee dribble started to fade. Within a week, he said he felt cleaner, more confident, and didn't need to wear backup briefs anymore. That's the kind of small win that can change a man's day and his self-esteem. This technique isn't just about hygiene. It's about peace of mind. It's about being able to lay down at night without worrying if you'll have to get back up. It's about walking out of the bathroom without constantly adjusting your pants. And for some men, it's the first time in years they felt like their body is cooperating again. The best part? It's free. No pills, no procedures, just awareness and patience. The reason most men don't do this is because we're always in a rush. We go into the bathroom like it's a pit stop, get in, get out, move on. But your bladder isn't a gas tank, it's a muscle group, and like any muscle, it performs better when given time to relax and contract fully. Now, it's important to say this, double voiding won't fix every issue overnight. But when paired with magnesium, pelvic stretching, and better sleep, it creates a powerful shift in how your lower body functions. You may find that your nighttime trips to the bathroom decrease, your urine stream feels stronger, and the dribble that used to make you cringe is barely there anymore. And here's something that most men find surprising. When your bladder is more fully emptied and your pelvic floor more relaxed, your erections get stronger too. That's not a coincidence. The same nerve network that controls urination is closely tied to arousal and erection. When one system is out of sync, the other struggles. But when you bring back harmony, everything starts to improve together. That's why what we're doing here isn't just fixing symptoms. We're retraining your body to work better from the inside out. And speaking of retraining, there's one thing every man needs to do to hold these improvements in place. It's something most guys ignore because it sounds boring, but it might be the single most important health decision you make all year. Let me explain what it is and why it could be the turning point in your nightly routine. If you're still here and these insights are resonating with you, type the number 1 in the comments to let me know you're following along. Let's keep this going and move into point number 4. 4. Set a strict bedtime and stick to it. When I was in my late 40s, I used to think sleep was optional. I'd work late, return calls, finish paperwork, and maybe squeeze in a few hours of rest before doing it all over again. It wasn't until I hit my 50s that my body started sending me some serious signals. Waking up groggy, feeling wired but tired at night, struggling to focus during the day. And then something even more personal happened. I noticed my erections weren't as reliable. My libido wasn't the same. I started waking up 2 or 3 times a night to use the bathroom. At first I chalked it up to aging, but the more I dug into the research and reflected on the habits I had, the more I realized how deeply our sleep affects nearly every part of male health. That realization led me to start asking my older male patients about their sleep, not just whether they were tired, but how many hours they were getting, how consistent their schedule was, and whether they ever felt rested. Time and time again, the answer was the same. I sleep maybe 5 or 6 hours, broken up. That's just how it is when you get older, right? And that's when I'd lean in and say gently, no, that's not how it has to be. You see, the body doesn't stop needing sleep as you age. It actually needs better sleep, especially for men who want to keep their testosterone at healthy levels, regulate their blood pressure, control their weight, and yes, maintain strong erections and a reliable bladder. Without consistent quality sleep, the hormones that govern all of those functions begin to crash. Testosterone dips, cortisol rises, blood vessels become less flexible. Even your pelvic floor starts to fatigue, leading to more nighttime urgency and weaker sexual response. What I tell my patients, and what I'm telling you now, is simple but powerful. You must start treating sleep as a non-negotiable. That means setting a bedtime like you would set an important appointment. It means giving your body a routine, something it can rely on every night to know when it's time to shut down, repair, and reset. And I know it's not always easy. Maybe your wife falls asleep watching TV and you stay up. Maybe you've always been a night owl. But habits can change, and this one matters more than most. One of my patients, Lewis, a 72-year-old former police officer, told me he hadn't gone to bed before midnight in over a decade. He'd spend his evenings in the recliner, watching the news, flipping through channels, sometimes falling asleep with the TV still on. When we started working together, I challenged him to set a bedtime, 10:30 p.m. sharp. He laughed at first. That's for old men, he joked. But after a few weeks of sticking to it, everything began to shift. He started waking up only once during the night instead of 3 times. His erections, which had become unreliable and short-lived, began lasting longer. Most importantly, he felt human again. Less tired, less irritated, more in control. This isn't magic, it's biology. During deep sleep, your body restores testosterone, repairs blood vessels, balances blood sugar, and flushes out stress hormones. This is when nitric oxide, essential for erections, is naturally produced. This is when your bladder resets and reduces that constant urge to go. And this is when your brain clears out the fog and anxiety that can quietly kill intimacy. If you've been running on 5 or 6 hours of broken sleep for years, I get it. It becomes normal. But I'm asking you to imagine what might happen if you gave your body what it's been asking for. Imagine fewer bathroom trips, fewer nights spent frustrated or embarrassed, and more mornings waking up feeling strong again. That's not a fantasy. That's what better sleep can begin to unlock, if you commit to it. So tonight, set your bedtime. Stick to it. Don't check emails after dinner. Don't fall asleep in front of the TV. Just give yourself the gift of quiet, uninterrupted rest. Your body is waiting for the chance to heal, and it can't do it without your help. Now, once you've created the right conditions through better sleep, stretching, magnesium, and proper bladder habits, it's time to bring it all together with one final step. And I'll warn you, it's the one most men skip, yet it has the power to turn all your efforts into lasting change. Let me show you what it is. 5. Pelvic floor relaxation, not just Kegels. A man named Charlie came to see me not long ago. He was 66, divorced, and quietly worried that he might never have another intimate relationship again. "I've done the Kegels," he said. "I've done the supplements. Nothing's working the way I hoped." He didn't say it with anger, just disappointment. A tired sort of resignation I've seen far too often in men who feel like they're doing everything right, but still not seeing the results they want in the bedroom or the bathroom. Charlie's story is one I hear almost weekly. And while I respect the effort men put into strengthening their pelvic floor, most don't realize they're missing a critical piece of the puzzle. The problem isn't always weakness, it's tension. You see, we're told to tighten, squeeze, and contract the pelvic floor as if more effort always equals more results. But when that area is already tight, when the muscles are overactive from years of holding tension, stress, poor posture, or trauma, doing more contractions only makes things worse. I gently told Charlie, what if the problem isn't that you're not strong enough, but that you've never truly let go? He looked at me a little confused, and that's when I introduced him to something that changed his life: pelvic floor relaxation. This isn't about doing less, it's about doing what's right. True pelvic health starts with balance. Muscles need to be strong, yes, but also flexible, responsive, and relaxed when they're supposed to be. And in men over 60, it's incredibly common for the pelvic floor to be locked in a low-level state of contraction all day long. That constant tension squeezes the bladder, reduces blood flow to the penis, and keeps the nervous system on edge. I taught Charlie a simple nightly practice I call balloon breathing. It's not complicated and it doesn't require any equipment. Just him lying on his back, breathing intentionally into his lower belly. He'd inhale slowly through his nose for 4 seconds, letting his abdomen rise like a balloon filling with air. Then he'd exhale through his mouth for 6 to 8 seconds, feeling everything soften. I asked him to imagine his groin, hips, and lower stomach melting into the bed with each breath out. He started doing it for just 3 minutes before bed. Within 2 weeks, he noticed something surprising. Not only was his urination more complete and his dribble nearly gone, but he started waking up with stronger, more frequent morning erections. His body wasn't fighting itself anymore. The pelvic floor had room to move, to respond. Blood flow wasn't restricted and nerve signals started firing more clearly. What had once felt dormant and defeated started feeling alive again. And that's the heart of this last step. We're not just fixing leaks or chasing stronger erections, we're retraining your body to operate as a unified, healthy system. When the pelvic floor is calm and balanced, your brain can send clearer signals. Your bladder can hold and release more effectively. Your sexual function becomes more responsive, more dependable. I know it might feel awkward at first. Breathing exercises don't seem as masculine or as real as taking action, doing reps, lifting weights. But I promise you this is some of the most powerful work you can do for your health as a man. It's the stillness that creates strength, the release that allows recovery. You don't need more tension. You need more flow. Charlie told me something I'll never forget. After a month of practicing nightly pelvic floor relaxation, he said, "I'm not just performing better, I feel like I'm finally connected to my body again, like I've stopped fighting it." That sense of connection, of reclaiming ownership over your own health, that's the real win. So now you've done the work. You've nourished your body with magnesium. stretched the tension out of your hips, emptied your bladder more completely, committed to better sleep, and finally allowed your pelvic floor to breathe. That's a powerful foundation. But before we finish, I want to leave you with one final thought. Something most men overlook, but that ties everything together. It's the mindset shift that determines whether these changes stick or fade, and it might just be the key to feeling young, capable, and in control again, no matter your age. Let's bring it all home. Conclusion. There's something deeply humbling about sitting across from a man who feels like his body no longer belongs to him. I've had those conversations hundreds of times, sometimes in exam rooms, sometimes over Zoom, and every time there's this quiet mix of frustration and fear. Not because he's broken, but because he's tried things that didn't work, or because no one ever told him there was another way. If that's you, I want you to hear me now. You're not alone, and you are absolutely not beyond hope. Your body is not your enemy. It's simply been trying to get your attention. Tonight, you've learned 5 powerful habits. Each one may seem small on its own, but together they begin to shift the tide of aging, not to stop the clock, but to reclaim the part of you that still wants to stand strong, feel proud, and show up fully in your life. You start with Magnesium Glycinate. Not because it's trendy, but because your muscles, your nerves, and your blood flow depend on a deep state of rest that most men haven't felt in years. Then you move your body in ways that reverse years of stiffness, opening the hips and groin to free up the blood vessels and nerves that support healthy urination and stronger erections. You relearn how to use the bathroom not as a rushed chore, but as a quiet practice of patience and awareness, allowing your bladder to fully empty and finally putting an end to that drip that's been haunting you. You treat sleep as sacred again, not an afterthought, but the very engine room where your testosterone gets restored, where your body resets, and where the lights come back on in every system that matters to your health as a man. And finally, you breathe. You stop gripping. You stop forcing. You give your pelvic floor permission to soften and let go. You allow your body to remember that strength doesn't come from clenching tighter. It comes from balance, from knowing when to contract and when to release. That's the part so many men miss, and it's why I've saved it for last. Because no supplement, no stretch, no trick will matter if you're still living in a body that's locked in tension and fight. When you breathe deeply and let your pelvic floor relax, you send a message to your entire nervous system. It's safe to heal, safe to perform, safe to feel. And all of this, all 5 habits can begin tonight. Not next year, not when you get around to it. Tonight. You don't need a perfect plan or a gym membership or expensive pills. You need intention. You need consistency. And maybe, just maybe, you need to hear that it's not too late. I've seen men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s turn things around completely. I've seen them go from silent shame to quiet pride, from avoiding intimacy to initiating it again, from leaking every night to sleeping through until morning, from flat, unreliable erections to ones they thought they'd never feel again. These stories aren't miracles, they're results, and they begin the moment you decide to treat your health not as a burden, but as a worthy pursuit. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, I want to thank you, not just for watching, but for caring enough to invest this time in yourself. That alone sets you apart. And I want to remind you that you don't have to walk this road alone. If something I shared tonight sparked a question or a feeling, leave a comment. I read them, I respond, because my mission is to help men like you reclaim what's rightfully theirs: dignity, vitality, connection. If this video helped you even a little, let me know. And if it didn't, tell me that too. That's how I keep making content that matters. But most of all, I want you to close this tab tonight and take action. Put your phone down, turn off the TV, take your magnesium, do your stretches, breathe, get to bed, and let your body remember what it's capable of when you give it the support it's been quietly asking for all along. There's still time. There's still strength in you, and it's waiting, right on the other side of tonight. If this video gave you even one helpful insight, something you didn't know, or something that made you feel just a little more hopeful, please take a second to like this video. It might seem small, but it tells YouTube that men's health matters, and it helps us reach more guys who are quietly struggling just like you. Share this with a friend, brother, or anyone in your life who might be dealing with these same issues. You never know who's looking for answers and feeling too embarrassed to ask. And most importantly, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below, even just a quick 1 if you found this useful, or 0 if it wasn't helpful, so I can make future videos better. Tell me what you're going through, what worked, or what you're still looking for. I read every comment personally, and your feedback shapes everything I create. You're not in this alone. Together, we're building a stronger, healthier, more confident community of men. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.